Thank you, Professor. Thank you for giving this great opportunity. So, with this, let me start my session. So, today, what I'm going to talk about for this for about 60 to 90 minutes of time, what I'm going to cover is um, there are three parts. My presentation is going to cover the three parts. So, the first part, what I'm going to talk about is what is the cyber security world and what are all the cyber threats are there. And right now, what are all the technologies which is available and how the industries as well as the every firm is using some mechanism to protect from the cyber attacks as well as some of the hackers, whatever they're trying to penetrate their organizations. So already there are some systems are available. So now I'm going to talk about such systems, what they are right now, they are using it in a very successful manner. But even then, we cannot say that no one cannot say that in that world, no one cannot claim that I am highly immune to cyber attacks. Whoever is getting into an internet or whoever is getting into a cyber world, no one cannot claim that I am highly immune to any of the cyber attack or malicious attacks or something else, etc. If anyone says that, I think is ignorance. That is what we can say. So whatever the mechanism right now they are using it, that also we are going to see. So especially for the past 10 years, they are using some of the mechanism which was enabled, highly enabled by AI, ML, and DL. So these are all the three technologies we really thanks to these three technologies which is dominating like anything. So if you take any field, all such fields, it is penetrating each and every corner. So when I was very first time when I got an assignment in a Chinese company as a technical director in the Lenitop network company in the year 2012, that time itself we start working on that IoT and then blockchain. So in the year 2013 and 14, our company has started working on that blockchain technology. So at this moment, I would like to share one more point is that out of my 8 patents, the 2019, I have filed one patent, which is deep dive technology, which is also a part of a blockchain technology, which has been granted. I think last November it was granted. So that was my first patent in the area of blockchain. So before that, I got 3 patents, which was granted in China and 3 patents, which was granted in same patent has been granted in UK. So those patents are in IoT as well as smart city related projects. So currently another 4 more patents, out of which 1 patent which is in the area of blockchain. So okay, let me get into that point. So what is the mechanism right now they are using it? Suppose if I'm going to start my session as a blockchain, you can use it in a cybersecurity directly if I get into it. So probably you may have a question in your mind that why should already there are so many mechanisms, already AI is there, ML is there, DL is there. Why should we want to use a blockchain into that cyber threat, cyber security world? You may be having some question. It may arise. So that is a reason to address those questions also. So first part, I'm going to talk about what is cyber threats and cyber frauds and cyber criminals, and how they trying to penetrate into that any of the network or the firm, and then how they are protecting them with the help of AI, ML, and DL. And then finally, I'm going to talk about even after using such technologies also, there are a lot of data breaches also it is happening. And you might have come across what I'm going to share. Some of the data breaches, I'm going to share it in my presentation in the second part. Some of the data breaches, even after using these 3 top technologies, some of the data breaches which was happened because of that, the company has lost their brand value, lost their financial loss. Also, it is a great impact in that market also. So, some of the data breaches also I'm going to cite here. So the first line of defense mechanism is ultimately which is going to be an AI, ML, and DL. But it is a time to initiate the second line of defense. Second line of defense, which is going to support for an AI, ML, and DL along with the whatever the right now we are using it in the cybersecurity world. That is going to be the blockchain technology. So that part I'm going to touch upon on the third part. So in that third part, finally, I'm going to brief about that, because last 1.5 years only I was working in that blockchain technology, because even that pattern it is a final granting stage. So I could not reveal that case studies. So initially I was thinking about to share that whatever we have developed, that I want to share it here. But the thing is that as per the company law, I was not supposed to share that information on that open platform in the open forum. So, uh, but how to implement, what are the things you need to consider? And at the last, what I'm going to discuss is every technology, there is a positive as well as negative. It is something like whenever you are taking it, whenever you are handling any of the technology, which has its own advantages as well as disadvantages, something like it is a double-ended knife. So the thing is that how carefully you are going to use it. So if you use it for a right purpose, you will be getting a positive benefits. If you are going to use it in a negative, so ultimately that is going to be a opposite to that. So what is the advantages and what is the major disadvantages? And finally, I'm going to share with my final thoughts related to the blockchain technology, how it can be applicable for a cybersecurity. With that, my presentation is going to get over. So with this a small introduction, let me get into that first part of my presentation. So what is cyber fraud? So we all have some question, what is meant by cyber fraud? So if we say in a very proper way, it is an online cyber fraud which is defined wrongful or criminal deception, which is going to be a wrongful or it may be a criminal deception in the cyber world, which is going to happen in that cyber world. So how it is going to happen? There are only two ways it is going to happen, either through the web or it may through your mobile devices, either through your mobile app or it may be via your web app only, which is going to happen. So what is the purpose? What is the motive behind that? So that kind of frauds, ultimately, no one cannot do it, cyber frauds as a social service, right? So ultimately, they will get some financial gain. That is the purpose they are doing it. Whenever there's a huge a problem comes, especially related to the jobs, shortage of the jobs, then automatically many people, if they are skillful people, they may some people they may change it into an excels to the society. Anyhow, it is going to be a wrong only. Overview of the cybersecurity domains. So there are many data groups that which can make up the different domains in the cyber world, which is going to make a lot of domains in the cyber world. So these data are in the form of either it may be numbers or some statistical values or the pictures, videos, audios, or any other type of data which can be convertible into a digital format. Whatever the data, if you can able to convert into an digital format, then automatically which just comes into some of the cybersecurity domains. So whatever the format, so whatever the data which can be convertible into a digital, so that we call it as an cyber security domains. We all know that there are a lot of cyber security domains. We cannot list it out only few. I cannot say that only 10. I cannot say that only 20. It is not possible to count in numbers. But few examples I can able to say that. So what example I can able to say that whichever the domains are so strong, whichever the domains are so strong. We all know that Twitter, LinkedIn, Insta, Facebook, these are all the few things I'm listing out. Apart from that, there are many social medias which is available, which are all generating a huge amount of data into your cyber domains. That means that these domains are so strong because of the ability to collect the user data, which is contributed by user themselves. So even once you start your Facebook account or LinkedIn account, they are not forcing you to feed the data. We ourselves, we are pushing our data into that cyber domains in this cyber security domains. So these data are often which includes our user backgrounds, which may by means of this Facebook, LinkedIn, By using these two domains itself, I can easily say that what is my background, what I'm interested for discussion, what is my likes, what is my dislikes, what are all my locations, and where I am traveling, and what is my interest, who are all my friends, who are all my family members. And apart from that, they can easily track our personal schedules also, because most of them, they used to post that today I'm moving into this place for my official work, for my personal work, or maybe for entertaining purpose. Likewise, we ourselves, we are pushing our data into this kind of domains. These are all the few domains only I'm listing out. So apart from that, there are so many domains are there. Now let us see a major class of cyber frauds. The first thing is the compromise the email, which lead to an unauthorized transactions, which may lead to steal your data. So probably if you're searching in the internet, if you're searching in the internet, I may be looking at some gadgets, or I may be looking into some devices, smart devices. Then automatically some of the mails which is coming into my inbox, which says that even we also many times we used to see that at 1 rupee you can buy a iPhone 12. So if I'm searching for iPhone 12, then within 1 or 2 days, I may be getting that kind of mails. So if you start accessing those mails, then background, they may be embed some of the trojans or malicious softwares they may be loading into it, which is going to run on your devices. After that, automatically they may do a lot of things. So once they get into your systems, so whatever the data you are going to keep it, according to that, your threat levels is also going to be very high. So next one is a specialized softwares, or it may be either it may be a malicious software, or it may be a Trojan. Even 2-3 years back also, it was very famous, ransomware attack. So what it is going to do is some of the software which is going to be loaded onto your systems, and which can block access your data on your devices, which will not allow you to access your own devices, which will never allow. And until you pay some ransom amount, till then they will encrypt your complete data. So they may be having the keys, unless until you pay the ransom, your files will not be decrypted. And that too also cryptocurrencies, they used to get their monies in the form of cryptocurrencies. So mostly that time the many newses which was saying that North Korean people, they have done it, this ransomware attack. And the third one is unauthorized use of credit or debit card, either through the mobile or web. So many of them, they are using that, they are sharing their details by catchy information. Some of the websites, if you press this link, if you pay just 10 rupees, you will get your 10,000 rupees mobile. So automatically people will go there. They will be asking that, feed your credit card information, so feed your this information, that information. So they will be trying to phishing you. So they will probe your data with that data. So whatever the cyber fraud which is going to happen, because the reason behind is our laziness, or our maybe what we can say, we may be interested in something because of that only. Next is a cyber professional versus cyber criminals. There is a differences there, and both are hackers. Cyber professionals also the hackers, cyber criminals also the hackers. So as I mentioned, that it is something like a double-edged knife. It is a technology. If you're using it for a right, the right things are happening. If you're using it for bad, it is going to in the opposite side. So normally the cyber security experts are, maybe they are good skills in coding and programming, and they will be working for some other organization, IT related organization, which is having a greater demand. So whenever now almost all the countries, all the peoples, they are getting into a cyber domain. So definitely there is a huge demand in that cyber security experts. At the same time, the cyber criminals also, which is a greatly, it is increasing, because even many people, they are knowingly or unknowingly, they themselves, they are getting into it. I don't want to go into detail what they are, what is their characteristics. The hacker and the evolution of the hackers. So normally the three types of hackers are there. One is a white hat hackers, gray hat hackers, and black hat hackers. There are three types of hackers. Apart from that, the hacking titles are different nowadays. Their titles are given as a different, like script kiddies, vulnerability brokers, activists, cyber criminals, and state-sponsored hackers. Let me brief about this hackers informations. So normally the hackers, they are the group of criminals. They are going to break your network. They are going to break your network. They are going to break your firewalls or something. Uh, they want to gain something. There may be some reasons they need to gain something is there. And there are, as I mentioned, that there are three types of hackers: white hat hackers, gray hat hackers, and black hat hackers. So the white hat hackers are, they used to, their behavior is, they used to discover the weakness in your system, weakness in your network, so that which can able to help you to improve your security systems. And the gray hat hackers are, they used to find a vulnerability and report it to the owners. That means that I may be finding it, so I may be a gray hat hackers. What I'm going to do, nothing is free in this world, right? So if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to access your network, I'll check your network, and then I'll say that, so these are all the areas, there are a lot of vulnerabilities are there. If I'm going to report it to that owner of that company, then I may be getting some rewards, or I may be getting some financial gain. This is also illegal. But the third thing is that illegal, that is an unethical criminals who violate the computer, or who violate the networks, who violate the network security for their personal gain. It is not for a social, it is going to be a personal gain. There may be attacking some of the networks. And the next is criminals are in many different forms. Each have its own motives. They have their motives are going to be, it is different. The first thing is the script kiddies. They are the beginners, as we call it. So they are the beginners. They may not have a great skills. They may be having learning to that with the help of some already existing tools, or by using some existing instruction, they will try to hacking something. Next is a vulnerability brokers. They are the gray hat hackers. They are comes into a second category, who attempts as well as discover and exploits and report to that owner of the firms, so that they will get some benefit from the company. So they are the legal. Next is a hacktivist. So hacktivists are who can rally and protest against some different political and social ideas. So because of even now the elections has come, so automatically the hacktivist will be very active in that. Last two categories are the cyber criminals and state-sponsored hackers. The cyber criminals are, they are the group of people. They will be having some organization, large organizations, cyber crime organizations. These cyber criminals are responsible for stealing even in the billions of dollars. So annually, there are some surveys which is revealing that it is a legally they have what is the whichever has been company, they themselves they have revealed around, which was around 200 billion US dollars every year. Because of this cyber criminals, the companies are losing their money. This is a survey which is saying that. So they used to stealing the billions of dollars from the, either it may be some personal consumers, or they may be stealing it from the business peoples. And next is a state-sponsored hackers. They are sometimes it varies, depends upon the type of persons. So which may lie into white hat hackers sometimes, or they may be in black hat hackers. So who can steal the government secrets, and which can able to gather their intelligence from that networks. So this is what I would like to mention it here. So what are all the notable breaches? So if you go to an internet, if you go to Google, if you type it, target 2013 data breach, if you just type it, then you can see that information. It was happened in the year 2013. So around 110 million customers' credit and debit card information has been compromised. You just imagine 110 million customers' credit and debit cards informations are compromised in the year 2013 itself. So how they done it? via the hackers. That hackers, how they done it is via the third party HVAC vendors at a point of sale at the card readers. At that level, they have done it. So because of this data breach itself, the cost to the company is around 18.5 million, 18.5 million USD lost to that particular banking company. Next, we all know that the Uber, it was happened in the year 2016. It was happened in the year 2016. Around 57 million users and 600,000 drivers' personal information has been exposed. It has been exposed. That means that Uber has failed to disclose the breach for more than 1 year. More than 1 year. So to resolve this, what they have done it, they paid the hackers. That means the bug bounty fee alone. They have paid around 100,000 USD. That means the 1 million USD dollars. They paid it to destroy the data with no way to verify that destruction has occurred. But even after that, even they paid that fees and everything, even after that, immediately within a year of time, their valuation has been dropped from 68 billion to 48 billion. You just imagine how much loss has been happened because of this data breaches alone, because of this data breaches. I'm telling you here, I would like to mention here pointers, even they have used it for an AI, ML and DL. Those concepts also has been implemented. Even after that, the 57 million users as well as 600,000 drivers information has been breached. It was exposed. Because of that much, around 20 billion USD has been lost by the Uber company. So which has happened both in UK as well as US. Next is these things you can search it in the Google and you will see that. So Equifax 2017 data breach. If you mention that, so you can read that or read that article also. So there also that banking information, like whoever the customers, 143 million consumers. So the customers' information, like personal information, which includes a social security number. We all know that in the US, if the person knows that the social security number of that one person, then he can ask like our other. Similarly, they have a social security numbers and their birth dates and their addresses and then their licensing numbers. All such things has been compromised. So finally, they found that the website application vulnerability, because of they have used it for some outdated systems. They didn't updated that properly. So because of that only, the cost to the company around 700 million USDs, 700 million USD for the Equifax company itself. Next is a Capital One. The Capital One, which was happened in the year July 2019, just a 1 month, almost around, this is also in the US, almost around 100 million consumers information data has been compromised. That information are their names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, their date of births, even more than one step ahead, what is their annual income and what is their tax. All such information has been compromised. So that was biggest data breach has been happened. So finally, it was exploited that some of the outside individuals which has been gained access to the network by exploiting misconfigured web application firewall, which leads to a great loss to that company, Capital One. And finally, it is a local survey which has been conducted. So in Texas Law Book Survey, which they have conducted in a very broad manner. So every 4 out of 5 law firms, so which is operating in a Texas alone in the year 2017-2018 itself, which has been victimized by a cyber attacks. You just imagine out of 5, every four companies, it is around 80% of the companies which was victimized by the cyber attack. Even they used some of the AI techniques also. And another one important message which is revealing that it is around 40% of the small as well as mid-sized companies which are all experience the data breaches out of the business within a 6 month of period. So this is It is an on and average within a 6 month of period, all the small and mid-sized companies data breaches are, which is happening almost 40 percentage. Almost it is a 50 percentage, 40. It means that out of 10, the 4 companies has been data breach has happening. And that too for within a 6 month of period, I'm telling. Because we all know that smaller businesses, smaller company as well as mid-sized company, they could not be able to afford, they could not be able to devote a huge amount of money for only for cyber security alone to protect from the cyber attacks, which will end up that information that it is more accessible to that cyber attacks. So from this, we can easily see that. So that is why I have given a data breaches right from 2013 to 2019, I have mentioned. Apart from that, some general survey, which I mentioned. So from this, we can clearly understood that how much it is very important. And now we can clearly understood that how much importance we have to give it for our defense mechanism for our cyber world. Okay, right now, what is a mechanism they are using it in the cyber frauds to protect their cyber frauds? So actually, Karata approach, which was developed by the Gartner in the year 2017, which was standardized in the 2017. Gartner has trusted identity collaboration model. Trusted identity collaboration model. They have identified that some of the affirmative signals as well as the negative signals, which is what type of risk it is coming from, whether it is coming from outside or it is coming from an inside. So these things has been classified. From this, the Karata approach has been adapted for almost all the standardized companies. That means the Karata, what it stands for, the continuous and adaptive risk and trust assessment. Continuous and adaptive risk trust assessment. So from this, how it is they are doing it? Let us see. First thing is that assess the mechanism. So assess the mechanism is here. So whoever is working in that organization, for example, I'm working in Lenitop, or I'm working in both. I'm working in KLN also. So I may bring my BOID. So bring your own devices. It is a very famous for nowadays. So everyone, they used to take their own devices, as like even our smart mobile itself, which can be more powerful than that of some of the laptops. So bring your own devices. So the first and foremost thing is that it has to assess, the network has to assess whether this device is trustable device to access my network resources or not. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that what is the account he is holding? So maybe in a hierarchical manner. So I may be in somewhere in between. So in my account, what is my privileges? What are the things I could able to access, and what is my privileges, and what is I'm not supposed to access all such information which is linked with that account. And then it has to assess what is my sessions behavior. So whether I'm whether I'm behaving into a normal or if I'm behaving it in an abnormal way. So the session, every session as well as the behavior has to be analyzed properly. And then by means of this, all the 4 access mechanism, that means that the device, account, the session, as well as the behavior, then we can come to a prediction mechanism. That here only you can see that the Karata approach, which is going to use that AI, ML, DL concepts, AI, ML, and DL concepts. So from this, it is going to predict it. Once it is predicted, then the next action is going to be a preventive. So prevention is better than the cure. So before it happened, we have to arrest it. We have to control it. So we have to take a preventive action, and then we have to detect it. So once you detected some cyber attacks are happening, then how fast you are going to respond to that attack, that is very, very important. So most of them, you may come across that many of them, they may be your bank accounts has been updated. Your ATM card is going to be upgraded. Something, they may be phishing information. It is going to come to your mobile phone, and they will say that now the OTP is going to come. Please tell me the OTP. So once the OTP has been given, after that, if you realize nothing is going to happen. So whatever you are going to loss, it is going to be a loss only. You cannot able to recover. So you can able to recover. It is going to be a very tedious process. So if it is going to be a single person, there may be a loss of their money or something from their bank account or their credit card balance. Whereas if it is going to be an industry, which is going to damage their brand value also. So which may damage their trustness of the brand. So people will trust that the Apple devices are more secure. So if something is keep on, if every month there is a one data breach or every one hacking which is happening to that Apple devices, what will happen after 1 year? People will lose their hope. People will lose their trustness to that brand. So which is affecting their brand value in the market also. So how fast you have to respond, that is also which is addressed in that CARATA approach. Now we can see all these steps very fast, and then we will get into an blockchain technology. The first thing is that assessment. Assessment should be in a continuous way. It should not be a one-time measure. It should not be a one-time thing. We should not take it. The first thing is that define the events during the user journey, which is going to make the checkpoints and signals. For example, everyone is nowadays everyone is purchasing in online. So I may be purchased everyone almost they are moving towards to e-commerce, moving towards to online purchase. Suppose Amazon, their duty is to they check there what is my behavior, what is my purchase pattern. So if it is going to be a different, then automatically they have to take an action. If something goes wrong after that, if they are going to take an action, it is not going to be a usefulness. So define the events during the user's journey, which is going to make a lot of checkpoints as well as signals. So complete your purchase till your start as well as till you complete your transaction. It has to do a lot of checkpoints. And each point has to be assessed in a multiple methods. It's not going to be a single method. We all know that even in Gmail also, there are two-way checking mechanism by means of some other alternative mail, by means of your mobile number, and then some CAPTCHA. There are so many things. Every time they are trying to put their lot of security mechanism to that. That is where the assessment should be in a continuous way. Next is predict the cyber fraud using AI, ML, and DL mechanism. So how to predict it? How to predict the cyber fraud is happening? The first thing is that very important point is that, as I mentioned right now, so Amazon, my purchase pattern, my likes, dislikes, and everything everything knows very well by the Amazon. So even if you go to the YouTube also, whatever the videos you like to watch, that videos only it is pushing to your home pages. So the same way, how it is doing it? By means of this artificial intelligence and ML techniques. So there, the data are going to be an important. Even Ambani also said that the 21st century's fuel is data is a fuel. Data is a fuel. So that is why he has moved their business. Almost most of the business they have moving towards to that ICT domain. So now he is within the last 1 year, he has his total asset value has been raised into many folds. So now he is one of the top 10 billionaire in the world. So the first and foremost thing is that the data, that is very, very important. And then the collection of data. So knowingly or unknowingly, even we too also populating a huge amount of data to our social medias. For example, Facebook, everyone is pushing our data. So I may be pushing 10 data per day. So somebody may be pushing 100 data per day. Somebody may be pushing 1 data per day. The same way Insta, same way the Twitter, same way the LinkedIn. There are so much of data. So the collection of data, these data are going to be a raw data. It is going to be a very big data. So, and then how to integrate it? How to integrate it to make it as a meaningful data insights has to be taken from that data. So that is where there are a lot of learning mechanisms, supervised, unsupervised, black box and white box. There are so many mechanisms also there. Using that mechanism, they can able to predict it. Finally, they have to monitor. So the data, models, and monitor. So the monitor where it comes, adapt and experiment the things. Adapt and experiment the things. Okay. Now we have identified that something, the fraud is going to happen. So next thing is that preventing it. How to prevent the cyber frauds? The preventing the cyber fraud is the first and foremost thing is that identify. Identify whether the right user or not. The first thing is that authentication, and then authorization, and then user management, and finally the central user repository. From that it can able to identify it. That means that the multi-factor identify and access management using a multiple factors. And the second thing is that the traffic management. If I'm going to run a big industry, or I may be having my own network, so the traffic management, it has to identify my firewall, my security device has to identify that what is unwanted data, what is unwanted data, and what is a bad traffic, which is generating a bad traffic from the cyber world. It has to be identified and it has to be stopped from there itself. Next is we all used to habitual to do that. Say no to automate. For example, even in mobile also, if you are doing some net banking or online purchasing, if you are going to do that, that OTP, people are so lazy to even read the OTP and to type it in that e-commerce site. So automatically it is making so comfortable. It is giving a lot of messages saying that automatically it can read the OTP. We used to give a permission. So what happens is something, your device has been hacked. So whatever the OTPs it is coming, automatically they will read it. They will steal your data, or they will steal your money, or anything it is going to happen. The very important thing is that to prevent the cyber fraud is say no to the automate. Bring your own devices. It means that your own devices, whatever your gadgets or something, at least there we have to do it. And identify and protect from the script attacks. So whatever the script attacks, so those attacks are going to be a script attacks that has to be identified and prevented from itself, there itself. And the next is to detect the cyber frauds. Are the first, many of the things is that use a proper malicious software to detect it. So most of them, even people used to buy a 1 lakh rupees to buy a device, but finally they don't want to use it for a proper paid virus scanners or something else. So this is a habitual of our people, right? Mentality of our people. So that should not be happen. And the second thing is that the actions, what the action you are going to take. Once it has been detected, evaluate the risk, what level of risk it is, and immediately you have to get into an action to a customer. At the same time, the customer should not feel very uncomfortable. For example, if you are purchasing something in an Amazon, so for everything, whenever you are moving from one page to the another page, we are sending an OTP, please enter the OTP. So what will happen? Finally the customer will frustrate like anything. They won't come back to your website. So they will migrate from there to Flipkart or something else. So at the same time, you should not irritate the customers also. So the customer friendly is also very important. Finally, you have to see that what is the relation. So whatever you are doing it, analysis in the AI, ML something, and you have to relate it and monitor, and what are all the relational points that you need to see it. The first thing is that you have to design your own model and correlate the data points, how it is. For example, my purchase pattern is look like this. I won't purchase it for online for not more than 10,000 rupees. Suddenly my purchases, I used to purchase in evening times or morning times. Suddenly one fine night, maybe we all know that Nigeria is very, very good for this kind of hacking. So suddenly if night at 12 o'clock, if there is a purchase which is going to happen in my Amazon, my account as a 1 lakh rupees from my credit card, then immediately it has to do a lot of checkpoints. So that is where you need to design your model and to correlate the data points or the signals, and immediately you have to put your checkpoints. So suddenly my account, something, if it is going to happen it for a 1 lakh rupees, there is a purchase. So immediately it has to raise their checkpoint levels. So suddenly it may ask for your alternate mile, the OTP has been sent, please enter that OTP. That way you can put up a checkpoints. and make a query also. Sometimes you may be some hidden questions will be asked. When you are creating your account itself, they may be putting some questions. So in that questions, you may be answered something. If it is a trusted user, then automatically he will answer correctly. So that is the way you have to make a query and analyze it, all these relational model. After all these things are success, then only we have to approve. Otherwise, immediately we have to react it. So how we have to react it? The response model. Get an additional information. That means that not a basic information. So beyond that, enter the CAPTCHA or enter the extra OTP number or something else. An elevated authentication. So you may be getting some, if you are going to open your Gmail account from anyone new devices, if the MAC ID is different, then immediately what it is going to say, in your trusted mobile, there is an OTP, say yes into that devices. So once you go to your mobile device and if you press yes, then only it is going to authenticate. So that is where you need to do a elevated authentication. And then if possible, if it is required, you have to do some manual reviews also. And if even after that, if you find that it is something, it is fishy or something, it is going to be a fraud, then you have to block the transaction. And also immediately you have to block the user and to report to that as cybercrime also. This is how the mechanism has to be. This is what the Karata approach already, which was implemented right from 2017. Before that 2017 itself, many of the industries, they start using this kind of Karata approach. But in 2017, in this Gartner CARATA approach has been standardized. Now, we are getting into a third part. Need a second line of defense. So as of now, what we have discussed is what is a cyber criminal, what is a cyber fraud, and how the data breaches are happening. But what the data breaches I have explained, and also what is the right now the mechanism they are using it with the help of AI/ML. That also I have explained. Now, it is a time we need to initiate the second line of defense. That means that I'm not saying that you have to remove AI/ML and DL techniques. It is not a replacement. Blockchain is not a replacement of an AI/ML and DL. Please make sure that AI/ML, DL is the first line of defense for our cybersecurity. But our main goal is, our main objective as well as our main goal is to keep the cyber criminals at bay. But in case, even after that they manage to get in, we need to infiltrate the network. So immediately we have to initiate. Immediately we are in a position to initiate the second line of defense. That is where the blockchain technology which comes into a picture. In fact, cybercrime and cybersecurity attacks, which are all hardly seem to be out of the news. It means that every day we can able to see that. Every day, every news, whenever you watch the news, you could able to see that here there are some cyber attacks happened, there some of the cyber crimes has been happened. Even we know that way back 10 years, we were not aware that there is a cybercrime police is there. But now you see that the cybercrime police, every day there are hundreds and thousands of cases which was registered even in Tamil Nadu itself. It is not an issue of only the Tamil Nadu. It is not an issue of only in India. This threat is growing globally. It is not only here. It is growing globally. Everywhere, wherever the cyber world, wherever the internet is there, automatically the cyber threats are growing exponentially. At the same time, as I mentioned in a very first starting of my session itself, no one is immune. No one is immune to the malicious and offensive acts, which was targeting for your network, or it may be your ICT infrastructure, or your personal gadgets, or your personal devices. Stay resilient. What it means is every firm. So every firm, they want to resilient from these attacks. So they must invest in that. At the same time, gauging the exact size of the cyber crime with a financial value. So how much it is going to be the value? It is not possible. You cannot calculate it. So maybe last year maybe very less, this year maybe we can't expect that it may be a 10 folds or it may be a 20 folds. So gauging the exact size of the cyber crime with the financial value is too difficult. And even one thing we can assure that, one thing we can sure that that number is going to be very big. That number is going to be very big. Even whatever the statistical value which was revealed by the survey, it is not true. Because, for example, if I'm running an industry for the past 10 years or 20 years, what happens is after 20 years, I may be built my, I may build my brand value. If something has happened by the cyber attack, if that news has been spreaded, what will happen? Whoever is my trusted customers, they may lose my they may lose the trustness. I may lose my trustness to my customers. So after that, they won't come to my business. They won't trust us, right? So because of that, some of the industries, they won't reveal it. Even if it is going to happen, they will not reveal it openly. They will not reveal it openly. So the number, whatever it is a survey, whatever it is saying, that it is not a true values. And the global figure for the cyber breaches, which has been put around almost 200 billion in annually. So this BCT, this blockchain technology platforms are addressing all these issues, addressing this security concerns in the face of recent whatever the breaches, whatever we have mentioned it here. So these platforms are not controlled by a singular entity. It is not going to be, we all know that. You might have, for the past 4 days, you might have listened many of the blockchain things. You may be knowing that it is not controlled by the singular entity. They can be easily, you cannot able to breach the data disclosures. It is not possible. So whatever the services built on top of this blockchain, it has have high potential to inspire the renowned trust due to the transparency, because of the transparency which was built into that whatever this technology here. So whatever the developments which has been expanded beyond that record keeping and the cryptocurrencies. So we know that the smart contract, which is the smart contract development in a blockchain, that platform has opened up a lot of applications, as well as which includes addressing the cybersecurity issues also. So these transactions, all the blockchain transaction details are kept transparent, as well as it is a secured. We all know that it is immutable. You can't able to change it. So these transactions in a blockchains, which can be audited as well as which can be traced. You can be audited as well as you can be traced in that. So we know that it is a decentralized distributed network, which is going to help the business to avoid the single point of failure. Suppose if I'm going to keep it all my data and everything into one single server, if that single server has been hacked, the total thing is going to be total failure is going to happen. So if I'm going to use it here, which is so difficult for malicious parties or any other attackers who can steal or tamper with my data as well as with my business informations. So this blockchain, which can rely on completely on the distributed network, so which is going to remove that a single point of control. So it is not possible only one point, from that only all the distributed nodes are going to be controlled. And also for attackers point of view, so it is very difficult for them to attack into that blockchain networks, because these peers are distributed entire globally. For about at least by 1 million nodes are going to be there. In that cases, they have to at least hack by more than 5 lakh one nodes has to be hacked. Then only it is possible to change. Even after that also it is not possible, because there is a draft changing procedures. Rights will be given to only a particular systems only, not by all the systems. Next is how implementing this blockchain into a cybersecurity domains, how we can able to implement it. So we know that BCT is protected with the help of this ledgers with the cryptographic keys. So attacking and manipulating it is going to be which is going to be difficult because of this decentralized mechanism. The systems, by distributing the ledger data on several systems rather than storing into a single node, instead of saving it into a single node, so they will be distributed into multiple nodes. This allows the technology to focus on gathering the data rather than worrying about any data being to be stolen. So this decentralization has led to improved efficiency, which is going to improve the efficiency in BCT platforms. So if you want to penetrate it, then every system on the network has to manipulate. You need to change all the data into that network. It is more than 50% of the nodes. So you need to change as well as manipulate the data, which is really a highly impossible task in the blockchain technology, because the number of systems are going to be in the network is going to be millions. In that cases, if you want to manipulate or any modification of the data, if you want to do that, all such 1 million means at least by 500,000, more than 500,000 devices you need to penetrate, as well as you need to change it. So even suppose any hacker has penetrated more than 50%, so the network can define some of the domain editing rights. So this domain editing rights only will be given to only fewer nodes. Only will be some of the trusted nodes. So hacker won't such kind of information. Hacker won't have that right to edit and manipulate the data when after hacking of even the 500,000 of systems has been hacked. So such a manipulation of the data on the network has never been taken place, which is going to never been taken place as of now in that blockchain, which is not easy for any of the attacker also. So in that cases, how much he is spending for his intellectual as well as his money, finally he can't able to get back that revenue. So while we store our data on a blockchain systems, the threat is possible. Threat of a possible hacks will be eliminated. So whatever the hacking, that is going to be completely eliminated. So every time our data is going to be stored as well as which is going to be inserted into a blockchain ledgers, a new block is going to be created. At the same time, further, it is going to create a key also, cryptographic key. So that cryptographic key is going to use it for the next record creating, next ledger data which is going to be created. So in that cases, so everything is going to be a chain of link is going to be there. If you want to change any of the data, you need to change back. You have to go back. At the same time, you need to do more than 50% of the nodes in that entire network, which was extremely secured. The data is going to be extremely secured. It is not possible also. Furthermore, the hashing feature, whatever the hashing feature in the blockchain technology, it is one of the underlying qualities that we can make this technology into a very prominent. Using this cryptography and the hashing algorithm, so blockchain which can able to convert the data which is stored in our whatever in the ledgers. Now we will see the advantages. So what is the major advantages we are going to get into it? So these are all whatever why we need to go into an cybersecurity threats, how we can protect it by means of implementing this blockchain. So the major advantages are here, the decentralization. First thing is a decentralization. And then from that, the tracking and tracing is also, it is possible in this blockchain. And then confidentiality, the data is so confidential. And then fraud security, cyber frauds can be easily eliminated. And then the sustainability. So the network is highly sustainable, and the integrity and resilient, and then the data quality. You cannot improve the data quality. Whatever the data it has been fed, whatever the transactions you have made, all such data are going to be available. It is not possible to improve the quality, but one thing is assured that the accuracy of the data is going to be higher. The accuracy of the data is going to be higher. That we can assure in that. So the data quality. And then by means of smart contracts, which is available, as well as we can increase the customer's trust also. We can increase the customer trust. So in this decentralization, so definitely we have to, thanks to this peer-to-peer network, there is no need for a third party verification. So whatever the data breach which has been happened, even for that data breach which we have mentioned, the third party HVAC vendor, because of that only the data breach has been happened. But here there is no need for any of the third party verification, as the user can see the network transactions. Every user can see the transaction, whatever it is happening in that network, can able to see in that. Next is tracking and tracing. So all the transactions in the BC are digitally signed with the time stamping. For example, here I can mention that there are many pork meats which has been exported from China to US. So there the blockchain has been implemented. That means that in the farm, when the meat has been made, and with the time stamping and what quality, with the time stamping, and then when it was shipped and where it was moved, all these things which is going to be tracked, as well as which has been embedded into an blockchain technology, so that if they want to tamper the data, if they want to any modification of the data, which is not possible at all. So that is one of the best use case also which has been implemented in that for a tracking and tracing of this Bluetooth blockchain technology. So the network user can easily trace the history of the transaction. They can able to, at the end, when they received, they can able to see the what is the history, the complete history. They could able to see that history of the transactions, and also track the accounts at any historical moment. Even you can see that even in Amazon also, you can, whenever you place some orders, you can able to track it. You can able to track it when you have ordered, where it was and how it was, where it is moving, and what is a possible date. You can get that parcel, all such information you can see that. Apart from that, which can allows the company they can share their information, whatever that the information they want to share it to that customer also, that product information also, they can able to share it to the customers, for their customers. Next is a confidentiality. So the confidentiality of the network user is very high, because you know that because of public key cryptography, also which is going to authenticate the users as well as encrypts their transactions also. So the fraud security, suppose if the event is going to happen, hacking event has happened, it is easy to define the malicious behavior because of that peer-to-peer connection as well as a distributed consensus. So technically it is unhackable. So for theoretically it is unhackable, because the attackers, if they want to hack that network, means then they have to getting a control over more than 51% of the network nodes. That is in theoretically it is not possible. As of now, it was not happened from my knowledge. Next is the sustainability. Blockchain technology has no single point of failure. We know that there is no single point of failure because there is no singular control on in that network. Suppose if there is a denial of services, if DDoS attacks has happened, we need not worry about that, because the multiple copies are going to be available in that network. So which is going to be kept in the user multiple nodes, which is going to hold that data. With that data, they can able to revert that data also. Next is an integrity. So the distributed ledger, whatever the distributed ledger, which can ensures the protection of the data against any modification or the destruction. So you cannot destroy any of the data, you cannot modify any of the data. So you can highly guarantee that whatever the data, whatever the transaction which has been made, that data is going to be there in our ledger. Next, this technology which ensures that the authenticity and irreversibility. So it is not irreversible. You cannot irreverse your whatever the transactions you have made. So that means it is a completely immutable, right? So whatever the encrypted blocks, which that informations are completely immutable, which is highly resistant to hacking, So resilience is the peer-to-peer nature of the technology. So which can ensure that even you can work in which can operate in the round the clock. around the clock, 365 days, you can able to work. Even some of the nodes are in offline also. It's not a problem in that network. Suppose even some networks, some attacks has been happened at some of the nodes. Easily, company can make redundant nodes. From that redundant nodes, it can able to retrieve as well as it can able to operate the regular routine purposes. So as I mentioned that the data quality, you can't improve the quality of the data. It is not at all possible to improve the quality of the data. Whatever the transaction which has been made, that is going to be same. But one thing is assured that it is a guarantee that accuracy and the quality of the data is going to be high level because of this encrypted in a blockchain. As you know that smart contracts, which is a small, it is a normally which is going to have a, ensures that the execution of a contract with some terms as well as which is going to verify the parties whether it is a really the trusted parties or not. Which can significantly, which increases the security standards for smart contracts, and also which is going to minimizes the risk when in terms of cyber attacks, as well as if there is any other bugs is going to happen in that network. Next is an availability. We know that we need not to store all that data in one single place, because this can allow you to have your multiple copies on your data, which is going to be across all the network users, which itself it can increase the customer's trust. The customer will trust you more on that, and your clients will trust you more if you can ensure that automatically. If you are ensuring that a high level of data security if you are going to provide, then automatically your customer will trust on you more. And also whatever the products as well as the information about your products as well as your services, all these things can be instantly, you can share it onto your customers. It is very easy to share it on your customers. That also it is possible. And so far whatever we have discussed about this, what are all the positive points about this technology, but at the same time we need to think about what is another side. It is another dark side. We can say it is a dark side of that this blockchain. With respect to cyber security, I'm going to talk about. The first thing is irreversibility. So some of the points which is having its own advantages, which is also some part it is going to be a disadvantage also. Irreversibility and storage limits and the risk of cyber attacks and adaptability challenges and the high operation cost as well as the blockchain literacy. These are all the major disadvantages which is going to be there. So the first thing is that we cannot say that say that it is resilient to all the cyber attacks. We cannot say that complete all attacks can be eliminated by this blockchain. It is not possible. Some of the things which is not addressed, so which is not experienced. So once it has happened, only we will try to implement such of those things. So as of now, whatever the breaches which has been happened, so that only which has been addressed by this blockchains with the help of cybersecurity. But in general, it greatly reduces the risk of malicious interventions, which has been reduced. But there is a possibility for some cyber threats also. If suppose the attackers which can manage to exploit, suppose your network size is going to be very small as well as within a restricted some area. In that cases, what will happen if something is going to happen, more than 50% of the nodes is going to be hacked, and that also editing rights also, if they came to know, then you may lose your entire databases. But in theoretically, as of now, it is not possible. And also the adaptability challenges. So for a small as well as medium-sized industries to adapt in this, it is a high level, and which can be applied for any businesses. But at the same time, when they want to integrate their existing business, suppose already they have established their network into a greater way, if they want to integrate it, then the complexity is going to be first initial implementation as well as integrating it, as well as to replacing the existing system, which itself it's going to have a higher operation cost, which leads to a higher operation costs. And running a blockchain which requires a substantial computing power is required, which may lead to higher marginal cost. Your margin level is going to be down with respect to that existing systems we were talking about. And in general, the literacy about this blockchain is also very less. But apart from this, one more point which was not mentioned here. That point is still we could not be able to get highly skilled enough developers with a good experience in that blockchain. It's also very less, and with the deep knowledge on the cryptography knowledge with the blockchain people is also very less. So that is also biggest challenging is there. Then one point is, as I mentioned, that it is a irreversibility. That means recently you might have come across one news. One fellow has bought many blockchain. Finally, he lost his encryption key. He lost his whatever the credentials, login credentials. He lost it. Because of this, he could not be able to recover it. Because of he faced a huge loss in that. So that was the risk. That means that encrypted data may be unrecoverable. Suppose in case if you lose or if you forgot your key credentials informations to decrypt your original data or decrypt your original informations, and also which have some storage limit is also there. So final thoughts. The first thing is that blockchain decentralized approach to cybersecurity, which is a fresh method, or which we can say that a fresh way to address these issues is, especially the industries, whatever it is facing it for data breaches and in the current scenarios, that has been addressed. The market cloud, which may use more number of solutions for cyber attacks, and this BCT can address a lot of vulnerabilities as well as the limitations of the current security approaches, and as well as the solutions. And moreover, the firms, whatever the industry as well as the firms need to sort out their governances as well as the awareness and organizational culture, as well as critically they have to look into that what business purpose it is and what is the process they are going to use it. Before they invest into it, they have to think about it related with a cyber crime in that part also. And then the roster of all the services which has been provided by this blockchain, which is limited players only there in that cyber security spaces, which can offer a lot of opportunities for other ventures also, which can able to cover the areas in the area of cyber security domain. Which also blockchain, which also transcends the borders as well as the nationalities. It means that it is not limited to only this geographical region or something else. Which itself, it can inspire a lot of trusted users into that domain, into that technology. So industry may restore some of the public trust. First, they have to do it. And then whatever the issues they have faced due to that data breaches, that also has to be sorted out. And which also ensures the highest level of data confidentiality, and availability of the data as well as the security level. But even though the complexity, whatever the complexity, if you are going to adapt it for this blockchain for your security mechanism, second line of defense mechanism, if you want to incorporate it, so automatically the complexity which can lead, which is going to be a great difficult task for the real world application as well as the scenarios. So many applications which may require comprehensive as well as enterprise with a high risk-based approach. They have to go with a highly risk-based approaches, which is going to capitalize the cybersecurity risk frameworks, maybe a best practices, and which is going to assure the cybersecurity services, as well as which can mitigate all the risk in that cyber fraud domains. Finally, this cyber intelligence capabilities like cognitive security, that means the threat modeling and artificial intelligence, which can able to proactively, which can able to predict the cyber threats, which can able to create a countermeasures like that is the reason why the AI will be considered as a first line of defense, and while the blockchain is going to be considered as a second line of defense. So with this, I have concluded my speech. Now the floor is open for queries or any other discussions. Either you can unmute your mic and you can ask the question, or else you can type it in the chat window. I'm happy to answer your queries.
Yeah, one question from my side, sir. It is like there is a provision of public key and private key, right? To create any ID for to enroll into blockchain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like I had a confusion how the private key should generate.
Sir, it all depends.